And welcome to another live stream with me, Christian Rauchenwald, on this first evening. Now it's raining, earlier we had sunshine. We already had a live stream today, an episode of Daily Market Mastery. You can check it out. We check the live stream history. But as mentioned, I said I would come online again if we have stronger movement. And as you probably know, we had stronger movement. That's also, well, the stream title is a little different. GameStop actually, so we streamed around the $32, $33 range. I expected it to go to the $38 range. That would have been our next mark. And now we are actually, let's get rid of that. We are actually in the $40 range. Now, I'm going to get rid of all our labeling, not because it's wrong, because it definitely isn't, but just to make sure that we approach the whole topic from the front. We're going to stream probably till market close, so for a short 20 to 30 minutes, maybe a few minutes after that. And yeah, so if we start on the monthly chart, for those of you that are wondering what kind of witchcraft I'm going to do now, it's called Elliott Wave Theory, the Elliott Wave Principle. You can check out the links in the description below to read this pretty book online for free if you're curious, or a physical copy. And yeah, let's start. So we have the monthly chart from where we have the entire history of GameStop. We have the so-called sneeze here, and we can assume. Let's see what auto labeling would do. If we let the computer do it, it would say this is wave 1 and wave 2. Yeah. Now looking at it this way, I'm not sure if there is actually a July 2022 spike that went that high, because that would have been higher than the sneeze, and I assume this is a fluke. Yeah. GME July 2022. Yeah, July was 34 something, so that was the high in July, so somewhere here. Yeah, so that's a fluke, unfortunately. That being a fluke means that count here is definitely wrong. So we're gonna get rid of the auto labeling, but what I can imagine is that we have a count that is similar to this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're now in wave 5. Yeah, now if that's the case, we just had a very, very long wave 4. Because here, no, wait, how low did we go here? Here we went to 995, and here we went to 963. Okay, so that technically would make this our wave 4, and potentially we're now here in wave 5. But that would mean that here would need to be wave 1, 2, which is a very, very interesting assumption. Okay, so not sure if we'll stick with that. We'll probably. So that whole mess here is really, the last couple of years is really like challenging here, because no matter if wave 4 would be here, or if it's here. So if it's here, then wave 4 is just so much longer than wave 1, wave 2, or wave 3 in terms of time frame. And if it's here, then wave 5 is so much longer. So we'll have to assume. We'll have to assume that somehow we finished wave 1 here. This here is wave 2, and now we are in wave 3. That would be the most logical assumption that I can come up with. And if we look on the retracement levels, that would check that we are, I mean, we didn't go to the 50% line, but almost to the 50% line. So that would check, which means we would now check what's happening from here forward. So we go on the weekly chart, and obviously there's a weekly is not going to give us enough data here. So we'll need a daily chart. And yeah, now we get to the next issue here. So wrong button. We get to the next issue, a challenge here, and that is basically, is that already a full wave? Probably is. Probably need, let's try 8 hours to get a little bit more data here. Okay, 8 hours doesn't really do it. 4 hours. 1, 2, 3. So we definitely have some kind of wave 1, 2 down here, potentially down here. Then that would be the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that potentially would only be till wave 3, wave 4, and now we're in wave 5. If that were the case, then we could theoretically just drag an expansion here. Just need to change that thing here back to the select tool. And the assumption would be, here's our wave 4 end, here's our wave 3 high, and our wave 2 potentially would be here. And we'll get our profit targets for wave 5. And obviously, at a certain point, at certain price levels or so, we'd get extra, like say, yeah, like speed or volume, because shorts or those people that are short would be definitely forced to close. But for this movement here, I would expect, so based on that, if that is correct, then we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we would expect to end somewhere in the $60 to $130 range here for that movement. Yeah, I'm not saying that that's then the end, but for that movement. Now, the question is, what did we have here? I mean, here it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and now wave 5. So if we add an extension here, so then we bounce from the 2382 extension. Those two levels are very common for third waves to basically serve as a turnaround point. And in that case, we hit the lower one, which makes it possible that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we would get wave 5. And for wave 5, we would then again throw an expansion here. So that would be 0.3, 0.4, and our 0.2 was here, and we'll get that target area for this fifth wave movement, which would then finish another wave, and then we get another correction, and then we go up further. Which brings us just to this area here. So we have a corrective wave down here, and then we have some movement up here. So the question is what's going on here, and for that we probably can go on a 30-minute chart. So question is what's going on here. Here we have very strong movement, which indicates that it's like either a third wave or a fifth wave move. So usually the third wave is the strongest, but it doesn't always have to be. So we'll definitely have a wave 1, 2 down here. Now the question is, where do we have our wave 3? We see we bounce from the 2618 extension, so that could potentially be wave 3. So you would have the low here is 26, the low here is 26. Yeah, so. And then if we use this here, then in this case, we actually have the 3618. So the way this looks to me would be that we have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and that's currently wave 5 in progress, or like maybe even already finishing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for finishing that wave, which means we would then get a correction and then get the next push up. So which would fit with market closing in 12 minutes, and after that there is some, I don't know, after that there is no explosion, but there is some sell-off. Today, by the way, we had 2 holds, the first one here, the second one then here. If we want to double check that as good as we can, then we could focus on that last movement here. Here we do not bounce exactly on an extension level, but also we got halted here, so it's possible that we would have made it till here without the hold and then bounce. Yeah, but it makes it harder to confirm that or be sure or sure enough. If we just focus on this part here, but it definitely looks 1, 2. What's the low here? The low here is 30.10, and here the low is 29. Yeah, so 1, 2 or 1, 2. So we ignore that fluke like we did in the stream today. So that would be our wave 2 point. Doesn't really matter if we consider it or not. So there's a regular wave 2 point and there's an orthodox wave 2 point. That would be wave 1, 2. However, then we would also have our next wave 1, 2. So here, with again the same problem, we don't really hit that. So that could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and now wave 5. And we see wave 4 is A, B, C. So down, up, down. And then basically here we would have our next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there should still be a little bit room up here. Trying to label this is going to be a little bit tricky. So I said on one hand, we would have potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. On the other hand, we would have, from here, wave 1, wave 2, we said goes till here or till here, doesn't make a huge difference. So what's the lowest point here? 3150, 3181, that one is 30. Okay, so it's actually this one. And then basically that 5 finishes this wave. So like this. And then if we, zooming in further will be a little bit harder. But then here we have the same thing. If we take an extension here, we assume that this might be wave 1. So we go up, we have an A, B, C retracement. And in this case, then potentially have our wave 3 target already here. Or 1, 2, 3. No, that move is too big. So they're probably already here set. So potentially this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and we still get wave 5. And for the wave 5 here, we could put an expansion here as so often. We would then expect the movement to zoom out a little bit again, to go to the 48 mark or up to the 52 mark. So that would actually, not saying that it will happen in the next 10 minutes, but if we look here, I mean, it's possible that this correction wave is not finished yet. So then we would get A, B, C, and actually would have to adjust that. But if this wave 4 here would be finished already, then assuming that it is a wave 4, I can always be wrong. So just in case you haven't read below, everything that I share in this live stream is my personal opinion and in no way financial or professional advice of any kind. Everything, like that we already said there. So you should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions, and make your own decisions. Yeah. But yeah, so assuming that I'm not wrong, we should get the push up here, which may or may not happen still in the last 9 trading minutes. And then from there, then we would finish this wave, and this wave is the yellow wave 3. So we would then get a retracement on the basis of potentially this. So if we go, for example, to 52, we would I would expect, again, no guarantees. So if you think like, okay, I'm gonna wait for 42 to buy in again, but if this labeling so far is correct, and we've done it in a couple of minutes only, and not like very thoroughly, so keep that in mind. But if this labeling is correct, we would get another push up here. So to finish this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then from there, that potentially finishes this entire third wave, the yellow one. So from 1, 2, 3. And we can also check actually the expansion for this here. So we would have an overlap as we see in that area here. So on one hand, this expansion tells us the target area would be here. On the other hand, the extension from wave 1, 2 would offer us a third wave target in the area of 14, pretty much 50 to 51. Yeah. So getting another push up here in again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible. Yeah, we also yesterday had a decent target area that we hit today, or that we actually hit yesterday already. So that was in the what was it, the 32 mark or so. So that was what we in quotes predicted, the area that we in quotes predicted yesterday and hit then after that. So, but yeah, overall, so we have, let's see if we can get more things that point into the same direction. So we have the potential wave 1, 2 that would give us this target area here. We have here potential wave 3, 4 where we get this target area. We then would have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here that basically. Oh, then we can also, yeah, of course. So expansion. So if this is 3, 4, and that's wave 2, then that would give us this target area from here to here. So we see that overlaps quite well. So the area around $50 to $51 seems to be going to be the next point where, in my opinion, we will see another correction. And then depending on how strong the movements are, we would also need to add the 1.4, so 21.4 extension or retracement. So with a very, very strong movement, we would also be okay with a smaller retracement only to the 21.4 area. But overall, let's remove that one for now again. Okay. So overall, we actually would expect it to retrace to the 38.2 line or even 50% or 61.8, which means that at that push, we're going to wonder, at that push here to 50, I mean, taking profit here is definitely, I'm not saying that it's a bad idea. Yeah, I mean, you do what you want. Yeah. Because obviously, there's always the risk of missing out. There's also, however, the popular comment on Wall Street bets that nobody ever got broke from taking profits. However, if we consider the entire scenario, I definitely would not sell my shares. So personally, I will not sell my shares at 50. Yeah. However, I might close my $100 calls. We're actually going to look at them real quick. Just a second. So let's drag that over here. Option strat, save trades. If I close them now, I get $1,200 for them. If I wait till tomorrow, so 7th in, let's say, 23 hours, and we're at the same price level, I would still get, so as long as we're above, what's the break-even price tomorrow? 25. So as long as we stay above 25, they're in plus. Okay, now then I won't close them. So then we'll keep them open as well. It's been a good day. So I sold, or I bought back my $30 put options. So they offered a $2,000 premium, but I bought them back for, so all of them, so 500 per piece. But I bought them back for 1,800 because the curve just could have waited, would have gotten a little bit more now. But getting 90% of the profit and taking away the risk that tomorrow it's going to be less or nothing is definitely the smarter play here. Sadly, yeah, there's no way to, for next week, the $30 puts just don't pay enough. So like there is no point in selling them again. So if I were to sell them, so $30 puts, then 5 pieces, for example, would be $1,300. So it's like, I mean, it's still not bad. It's basically, if GameStop stays above 30 until next Friday, then it's basically an almost 10% return on my capital. So obviously, of course, like shares that go up and so on are worth more. But as far as like not buying more shares goes, or potentially buying more shares go, I wouldn't want to buy above, yeah, like, I mean, yeah, like last week, my point of like willing to be buying more would have been 20. This week, and especially looking at this, I would actually say I wouldn't want to buy more above 30. So like that's, yeah, one could wait for the retracement that potentially has to happen here. Again, I still think that this will 2 minutes left, maybe not during the regular hours that we see this play out, but I still think we'll fall into that area here. 49.89 to what did we have here? To 51.12. So we have that overlap. We basically have 3 different areas that serve as target areas for different parts of the waves that we've labeled here. So I would expect that we hit that area, and then from there I said get a A, B, C correction. Now that might not always be an obvious correction, so I'm just going to zoom out to make things a little bit more confusing on this side. But like, for example, this here down should also subdivide into a corrective pattern, and it definitely is not easy to find any kind of, I mean, yeah, if this wave is actually here officially, so we have a shortened 5th wave here in that whole pattern up there, then we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. No, then we have that spike here that ruins that version. Yeah. So yeah, so corrective patterns are super hard, or not always super easy to label. Sometimes you can see them with the naked eye, so without any huge issues. Like if we, I don't know, if we look here, we can see down, up, down, very likely ABC pattern. Yeah. If we, yeah, here not so perfectly clear, but still down, up, down. Yeah. So like there are some patterns that are, in quotes, relatively easy to identify, and others that just aren't. Yeah. It's going to be curious to see. Market closes now in, I don't see the clock in the top bottom right corner, in 5 seconds. And then we will have aftermarket. And the question will be their market closed, what will happen in the aftermarket? Now we still get the data here, so I'm gonna stay a minute or two. So aftermarket has obviously less retail, more other stuff going on. Now question is, will this hold true in quotes, and will we see, will we shoot through the area that would off, or that area that basically has yeah, like those, let's say that predicted area, will we not reach it at all, or will we hit it perfectly? Yeah, so it's really the question. Now, depending on how low we go here, if we would zoom in further, but there's no point in trying to label on the 1 minute chart, is something that works very rarely, only in very nice impulse patterns. But yeah, like if we look at this, so question is how that will play out. I think we're gonna make another, I don't know, like let's say 10 minutes or so at most. So let's see if we get in that direction or if we get down. It's gonna be interesting, by the way, in case you guys haven't noticed, Deep Fucking Value, aka Roaring Kitty, is going to stream tomorrow on his channel. Now, just not sure. Oh, there's the link. Yeah, so I'm gonna drop the link for that. In the chat. So there already, or I checked earlier, there were how many were there? Yeah, already more than 15,000 people waiting. It's gonna be curious. Some people left a comment, and some looks like this, by the way. Chat is going crazy there as well already. Yeah, and there are like obviously the usual spammers. Yep. So it's going to be interesting, and some people are or shared that they think he will execute his options live on stream, or announce that he will execute or sell them or whatever. I don't think he will, because I think that could be considered definitely market manipulation. If I go on a stream to like 15,000 viewers that mostly come from the Reddit communities and tell them exactly, okay, whatever, sell now because I will execute my trades, or it's possible. I'm not saying that I think it is the case, but it's possible that he actually executed some of his calls today. I wouldn't see why, because obviously he still has time with them. But it's possible that he did exactly that. And if he did that, then obviously, whoever sold his calls to him, or basically the exercising of the calls, requires the shares to be bought. And it's possible that that's responsible for our today's run up. So, and with the price being higher, he basically can execute more, because obviously based on it, so assuming he only had the money that we saw in the last screenshot, which was like 30 million in cash, although he would need 240 million to execute all the calls. However, with GameStop above 40, so where it is now, like he basically has 2,000, so he has to pay $2,000 for each contract to execute it. But at 40, and considering that he bought them in the money, so the break-even point was, but he already paid the premium, so that doesn't matter. So, but he needs $2,000 to execute them. So if he now basically sells one of the calls, he would look at around 2,250 profit, which means right now at the current price, if he sells one of the calls, he can execute one other call. So theoretically, right now, he should be able, if my math is not wrong, to execute 60,000 calls if he wanted to. So basically use the profit from half of the calls to execute the others. Not sure if that would be smart to execute all of them now and so on, but it's possible that today's run-up basically was him executing a few calls. Now, if we're talking about the wave patterns again, and if we talk about correctional waves, I said sometimes the patterns are not as obvious, like that here might be not as obvious. Other times it's super obvious, A, B, C. Yeah. So here as well, not so super obvious, but still down, up, down. Yeah. So here the relationships are not as nice as here, but overall, I think that's the pattern we're looking at right now. Now, obviously, it's possible. We already there we have a high of 47.46, and here we already went higher, which technically would fulfill the requirements for that to be the fifth wave already. And we already are in the correctional wave, although we then missed all the target areas, which is okay, like Elliott Wave Theory, or at least like there are no guarantees. There are only probabilities how likely things are to happen, or like most likely things happen like this. So if we already finished here, however, then I would expect that we see the retracement. So if that would be our top, that we now see the ABC pattern play out, or another corrective pattern. It doesn't always have to be such a nice ABC pattern, but down to the $40 area. Yeah. I would expect on one hand for it to to first finish up in the target area, but it's also from a patterns perspective possible that we finish the wave here and are now getting our A, B, C pattern down, which would then retrace potentially at least to the $40 mark. And as said, then next possibility would be around 38.69, and the like if that's a wave 4, how much did wave 2 retrace? If our labeling is correct, wave 2 retraced 78.6. So we actually would expect the 38.2 retracement. So there's a rule of alternation. If wave 2 is complicated, then wave 4 will be easy. Oh wait, wrong wave 2. Sorry, not that wave 2, not that wave 2, but that wave 2 here. That's what we would need to look at. So this one here, since we're looking at the yellow wave 4 then, yeah. So and this one also retraces almost 100%. So, and it's probably a complicated pattern in terms of labeling this out, even if we ignore that, let's call it fluke. But although we don't, if we ignore the fluke, we only retrace around 50%. That's exactly the thumb number. So there's a rule of alternation. Very often wave 2 would retrace, for example, 38.2%, and then wave 4 would retrace 61.8. If wave 2 is a very easy correction, so easily labeled as ABC, then wave 4 would be a more complex one, and so on. So yeah, but yeah, that remains to be seen. Anyway, I think we'll call it a day now. So GameStop had a cool run up. Yeah, if you're curious about more Elliott Wave Theory and how it applies to GameStop, I would actually recommend that you check out the stream we did earlier in the day, where we label, actually even starting from yesterday's stream. Yesterday we did some good labeling that were in quotes predicting the 38 area as the next bounce down where we get a correction wave. And today we also did some good labeling, although I expected it. I think, if I recall it correctly, I actually expected that we will see the 38 area as the next bounce. Yeah, got that one a little bit wrong. But yeah, we'll see how it goes overnight and what then happens tomorrow. I still have to decide like where I'm, yeah, now the option market's closed, yeah, but what kind of option I will sell or what kind of put option I want to sell for next week. Maybe the time to benefit from selling puts on GameStop is now in quotes over. For those of you that are wondering what options GameStop, yeah, there's also a video called GameStop and Options on the channel that's quite recently that explains how you can actually, or how you could at least, make money from the people that are betting against GameStop by selling them put options, yeah. So they bet against the stock and you get paid for it, and if the stock would really go down, you get more shares, yeah. So which you always have to pay for. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, like, first of all, like, subscribe, enable notifications, the usual blah blah. But second of all, also check the link in the chat that links to, as said, Roaring Kitty's live stream that happens tomorrow, and then I guess we'll see you there. Since his live stream starts at, I think, 2 hours after market open, if I got it right. So I might still do a live stream shortly before market open to cover the first half hour or so. But obviously once Roaring Kitty is live, I'm also going to watch that live stream. So yeah, anyway, thanks for stopping by. Have a great rest of the day, and then see you all potentially tomorrow. Till then.